we've all been there. You bought a book, perhaps a diet book, and you bought it because someone has had fantastic results. You paged through it. Not only did they have fantastic results, 5 of their friends did too. And look, each one has a long testimonial. So you start the program. In some cases, it's too wildly difficult to sustain beyond a week or 2. And in other cases, you follow it to the letter, but you don't get any results. What gives? Well, 1 person and 5 friends does not prove a method works. What is science? Well, we'll start with an observation. The observation could be something like, I ate apples and my waist circumference got smaller. That leads to a question, a hypothesis. So let's take something simple, the hypothesis. Does eating 3 apples a day decrease waist circumference? Now, we can take 1 person and 5 friends, and we can write a book called The Apple Diet, and your 5 friends can give lots of testimonials, and we can make lots of money. It's not really scientific. But we can look at it scientifically. We could start off with 2 groups. They need to be of a similar age and health. They also need, in a best case scenario, to all be eating about the same diet, except for the apples. We take a lot of baseline measurements before anybody starts the diet, so we know where they are at the start. Fat percentage, blood chemistry, measurements, calipers, whatever we can. Then we start the test, or the experiment, where 50% of the people eat 3 apples a day, and 50% of the people don't. And we follow this for some time. And then at the end, hopefully at least a month, maybe even longer would be better, we look at all of our measurements, we see if there's a difference, and we analyze the measurements statistically. But there's still a problem with the study. It's not blind. The people eating the apples, they know that they're eating apples. So maybe we could make it better by putting the apples in a smoothie. So both groups got a smoothie a day, but nobody knew which one was getting the apples. So hopefully the data would be stronger because we wouldn't see any placebo effects, such as I'm eating apples, I feel more energetic, I'm exercising more, the waist gets smaller, and it's a confounding effect because it's the exercise, not the apples. So let's pretend lots of people did this experiment, so we had multiple replications of the experiment with the same result, and tested this hypothesis. We could then come up with a theory, which is a prediction on how things work. We can describe how this works. If we can describe how this works mathematically, it might become a law, such as the law of gravity. Each of these are increments of proof, with different amounts of validity depending on the rigor of the data, the number of their samples, and so forth. And it gets even more complicated than that. Gravity is both a theory and a law. Global warming or climate change is a theory. There's lots of evidence considered very supportive of it, but it is a theory. And let's go back before you write in the comments, no, this is a fact. Remember, a fact is an observation, such as the planet is getting warmer. Could it be the effect of man? Let's test the hypothesis of climate change. Is there support for this hypothesis? Yes. Okay, maybe we have a theory. Okay, so I love the biohacking community. And I know from parties I've been at with medical doctors who've said they can only treat patients for one thing per visit. If you're going to treat a patient for their cholesterol, you have to wait to the next visit to treat the patient for their high blood pressure. So many of us, including myself, are starting to try to get to optimum health by getting our own blood tests, genetic tests, and doing our own research. So we don't want just a disease diagnosis where we're given medication and the medication might have side effects. We want to work towards the best health we can have, not just absence of disease. The one problem I have is I see some biohackers swallowing anything that anyone of high profile says works. So I ask you to be scientific about what you take. Do your research, look for studies, not endorsements, and be on the cutting edge, but do so intelligently. The other thing, if you really want to try something novel, you just absolutely have to keep records. Right now, and I don't advocate this, it's very popular to microdose with LSD. It's big with the Silicon Valley crowd, and people have claimed it's helped with depression and so forth. So anyhow, I recently loved a post on IFL where the blogger tested microdosing on LSD. I don't advocate it, but she tested herself each day, and she came to a conclusion based on a daily evaluation. I won't steal her thunder. I've linked her study in the comments. But this is the type of activity that I worry about. You don't know the strength of what you're taking. You don't know if what you bought is actually what you think you're taking. You don't have a method of testing it to make sure, what the concentration is. Are you really microdosing? So the above blog, the above evidence, is considered anecdotal evidence. It's not a study, but it's better than just taking something and saying, oh, I feel better. The supplement industry is a huge money-making industry. Do your due diligence. Remember your responsibilities to yourself and to your loved ones. Be healthy and be safe. And just a caveat about microdosing. Remember, LSD in the US is an illegal Schedule I drug, and there could be serious consequences if you're found buying it, so I'm not recommending it. There are other things you can do that can help a lot, but don't break the law. Now I want to talk to the people who have developed some new product. Congratulations! We need new innovators. But I'm going to ask you to rise above the snake oil purveyors and those that are just making their wallets fat. Do some research. What is not support for your product? Now this is not. I, the maker, tried it and it works. It works for you. Maybe it was a placebo effect. I, the maker, tried it and had 1 or 2 tests of a medical nature and saw a difference. Again, there's variability even from month to month within people not doing anything. So if you had 6 months of data on your baseline and 6 months showing movement that is valid beyond your baseline, that's a start. But the above is still anecdotal evidence. You need some more things. You have to do a few more things. 1, you need enough samples to analyze mathematically. 1 or 2 or 5 is not going to be enough. There needs to be a standard for your tests and your sample. You and others need to be able to repeat the test every time and get the same results. And other people need to be able to repeat the tests you did and get the same results. This is so important, I'm going to say it again. 1, you need enough samples to analyze mathematically. 2, there needs to be a standard for your tests and samples. 3, you need to repeat that test, and every time you repeat it, you need to get the same results. And 4, other people need to be able to repeat the test you did and get the same results. Otherwise, all you have is a bunch of testimonials. I've linked a paper asking what scientific rigor is in the description. So, don't be discouraged. You don't have a full lab and funding to do all sorts of investigation. Here's an idea to start. Talk to your local college biology or chemistry or appropriate department. See if you can't get a science student to take on the part of their evaluation as their science project, senior project. Find a makers group. There are many groups out there today that for a small fee allow you to join, and they have some laboratory equipment such as spectrometers or lasers, whatever, and so forth. Start by showing you can measure and quantify exactly what you are providing. What does it do? Can you measure the results? Can you measure the effect? Once you have better proof, file a copyright and maybe approach people who might help you develop your product. Leaders in the field who might invest and work with you. If you have something really great, you probably can't do it alone. And if it is effective, believe me, the FDA is going to be on your doorstep shortly and you'll probably need help jumping through their hoops. We need innovators. We need individuals to try to be the best they can, mentally, physically, and spiritually. But let's also be responsible to ourselves and to others. If you'd like a more detailed video on how to set up a scientific experiment and data analysis, let me know in the comments below or by liking this video. If the response is high enough, I'll make it. Meanwhile, happy making. Go out. Change the world.